Okay, so this is my 1994 Mercedes E420 I have for sale. It's a US version. It's got all the equipment that they come with for the US cars. It's not a gray market. I'm going to attempt to remember everything about it. I've done a lot of stuff to it in the past year, and I'm going to attempt to remember everything, but there's probably going to be some things that I'm not going to remember. Anyways, I bought it about a year ago, fairly cheap, and there was nothing really major wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the body, the paint, the interior. There's nothing wrong with the motor, the transmission. It was just a whole bunch of little minor stuff that added up to ultimately a crap ton of money. But that's not the reason I'm selling it. The reason I'm selling it is I really just need a good four-wheel drive truck. I'm spending a lot more time up in the mountains, and it's just what my needs are right now. But anyways, if you don't know anything about these 124, 119 Mercedes, then this is probably going to be really boring. But if you know anything about them and you like them, then you'll probably love every minute of it. But anyways, right now I'm just going to kind of walk around a little bit, get some different angles. And it was wet when I brought it in, but I tried to wipe off all the water off the painted surfaces and let it dry so you can get a good idea of what it looks like. The paint's in pretty good shape. There's a couple spots on the paint. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can probably see it in the video, but it just looks like where somebody parked it under a tree and it ate into the clear coat a little bit. From 10 feet away, you don't see anything. Well, when you get up right on it, you can see some of the oxidation on it. And that's just on the hood. Really, the rest of the car is good. And then, oh yeah, on these mirrors, these rubbers always tend to go bad, and these are in pretty good shape still. There's no cracks in them or anything. The paint's still shining on them. There's a spot right here on the deck lid. I don't know what that was. Looks like somebody just scraped it real bad one time. But again, from a few feet away, you don't really notice it. But so that's that side. The only other spot on the body, and I'll try to get it in the video, right there on the passenger front door. It's really only at certain angles you can see it. There's a little ding there. It doesn't really stand out, but from straight on you can't even see it. It's just at certain angles. Didn't really bother me enough to get it messed with. I'm one of the guys that are more of a mechanical condition. I want a car to be able to drive across the country in and not have to worry about it breaking down on me or anything. So yeah, there's the body. Looking pretty good. Not perfect. It's not a show car, but it's not priced to be a show car. Really good for the price you're paying. Interior is also in really good shape. All the door panels and the leather, the wood, everything's in real good shape. This car does have heated seats and they work like a champ. Get you nice and toasty real quick when it's cold. There is a few spots on the interior. One being this driver's seat, and it wasn't like that when I bought it. There was I sat in it one day with swimming trunks like a dumbass, and about a week later I got a little split in the leather, and so anyways, I just kind of duct taped it up to keep it from splitting any worse. But that could probably be easily fixed by a good upholster. The back seats are really nice as well, the door panels. The only flaws back here are up here on the top of the seat. There's a little split here and a split here, but it's not on the anything that you sit on. Obviously, it's on the top of the seat there. And then the third brake light assembly, of course. All these cars, they get real hot. The plastic gets brittle and they just kind of break apart. I can still get these original from Mercedes, color coded to match the car, for about $140. And so if you need one, I can get that. I just didn't really care. The other brake lights work fine. It didn't bother me. It does have the retracting sunshade here, and it works. Got a new headliner installed. There ain't no sag spots or anything. The headliner's looking real nice all the way around. No stains. Yeah, I guess that's it on the interior. The head unit here on the CD player, it's got the tape deck, but it does have a 10-disc CD changer in the trunk that does work. And I use my iPod most of the time. I just use one of these little tapes that got the auxiliary hookup, and I use that in the tape deck with my iPod, and it works really well. If you do want to upgrade it though, there are adapter wiring harnesses available for this model. You can all you got to do is buy the $10 adapter wiring harness and go buy you a good $150 CD player, pull it out, and it's just plug and play. It's easy to change and pretty inexpensive to do. The heat and AC, everything works like a champ. I mean, it's got ice cold air. The auxiliary fans cycle on and off like they're supposed to. The heat works well. It's got a new heater control valve in it and a new climate control panel. The only thing on the interior, really the only thing on the whole daggone car that I can think of, and I'm pretty sure I've thought of everything, but the only thing on the entire car that does not work is the back windows, the two back windows. And I could fix them. If I keep it much longer, I probably will. I hardly ever have people sitting in the back seat, and I don't use the back glass, and it just really hasn't bothered me. I got regulators. I can hear the motors clicking, so it just needs a regulator. And I've got good used regulators I could put in it. I just haven't got around to doing that yet. Again, I'm more worried about mechanical aspect of things. That's what I spent my time and money on this car. So yeah, that's the interior. Let's move on to what everybody wants to know about, and that's under the hood. What's going on under here? Just set the camera down real quick so I can pop the hood. Okay. This is a 4.2 dual overhead cam V8. From the factory, it makes roughly 275 horsepower at the tires. It gets around 25 miles a gallon on the interstate. A lot of time, I went to the beach recently in it, and I drove it on the way down, got like 23 miles a gallon. I'm a pretty aggressive driver with it though. I like to give it hell. On the way back, my girlfriend drove it, and she got I think 25 and a half, almost 26 miles a gallon. So pretty good for a big V8 car, four-door car. I'm going to try to remember everything that's been done on this puppy. It's going to take me a minute. Again, if you're not interested in this kind of stuff, you can just mute me out or whatever, but if you like it, you're probably going to love it. Got a cold air intake I custom built. There was none available aftermarket, so I bought this tubing kit that you basically piece together the angles you need and then just piece it together with the silicone piping. This is a 3.5 inch or 3.25 inch, I can't remember, intake tube. Relocated the mass air to right here near the filter. We got a Spectre filter with a outerwear on it, and this outerwear is basically just to kind of acts like a pre-filter, and it keeps the larger chunks of dirt and water from getting sucked into the air filter and just makes it last longer and breathes cleaner air, obviously. right underneath the air filter. And this is one of those air filters that don't just take it on from the side, but in the top as well. And right under the air filter, there's a open hole that helps it drag a little more air in here. And then I got a heat separator to keep the heat from the radiator away from the air filter. And it does a really good job. On the motor, yes, it has the oiler updates. I had a 92 engine that I got the aluminum oilers out of, and of course new O-rings. It's got new upper timing guides on both the left and the right bank. Got a new oil pickup in the sump. And the only reason I replaced that was because sometimes when it would get real hot, and I was sitting in traffic, the oil pressure dropped down, not too low, but just lower than it should be. And what it was is the sump had broken off. They're made out of rubber, and they get real hard and brittle, and they just kind of snap off over time. So I pulled that pan off and put a brand new sump pickup on it, and then resealed the pan back up, and it's working fine now. The motor's nice and quiet. These engines, it's a timing chain engine, and I've never heard of anybody needing to replace one. On 92s, I believe, which was the first year, this 119 engine, they had some problems with them, and I've seen a couple of them jump timing, but on 93 and up, I've never once seen one jump timing or ever wear out and start slapping or anything. It's pretty much a lifetime chain. So you're pretty good to go on that. Geez, I know I'm forgetting stuff, but oh yeah, we got the upgraded wiring harness. They had problems with wiring harnesses in the early 90s. Mercedes was behind on production, and they farmed out their wiring harnesses to GM, I believe, and the insulation was getting gone on them, and just the engine wiring harness, not the whole car wiring harness, but just what's on the motor, the insulation would come off the wires, and then stuff would start shorting out and acting a fool. So it's got the newer harness on it. Shouldn't ever have any problems with that again. It's got a rebuilt throttle actuator from Beckman Technologies, which is as good as you can get. And all this stuff, I've owned this car less than a year. All this stuff has been done within a year. The cooling system, no leaks or any issues. I did put a new thermostat in it right here, just for safe shits and giggles, I guess, whatever. It's got new spark plugs in it, of course. Changing the oil. I only use German parts on it. It's all original stuff, other than, like this intake and whatnot. It's got a brand new heater control valve in there. This puppy was like $480 my cost. It was ridiculous. The old one was not letting me get any heat. AC was working good, but most of these E420s have a different one, and they're only about 120 bucks, but I got the lucky one. I got the one that's a little bit different, has an extra hose that goes to it, and it's $400 and something, but the factory one lasted 20 some years, so I'm sure this one will too, especially if you keep your cooling system flush and don't do nothing stupid like putting no stop leak in it or something. Now on this 420, to me, it's a better car than most of them. Most of them have level ride on them, and in my opinion, it's a problematic thing. They tend to leak. The pumps go bad. The shocks leak. This one does not have that. It's just a regular old power steering pump. It does have ABS, but it does not have the level ride and traction control. Which honestly, I don't think on the cars that they do have it, I don't think it's super effective anyways, and it's just more stuff to break and go bad. This one's got a few less options as far as that goes, so in my opinion it's a good thing. I guess that's everything on the motor. We've got the oilers, timing gears, or not the timing gears, timing chain guides, Yeah, I guess that's it that I can remember right now anyways. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and lift it up. We'll check out underneath. Okay, so underneath on the front end we have new transmission cooling lines, new radiator hoses, new steering dampener, and center link. Steering dampener and center link. I think the tire, I don't think I replaced the tie rods, they're good. No play in them whatsoever. The ball joints are good. It's got new front brake pads. Rotors are still good. They'll go one more time. Here's that hole I was telling you about, and I'll use my flashlight. You can see right there's the bottom of the air filter. So it gets, she's getting some air through the bottom as well. Anyways, again, pulled the sump off, put a new pickup in it, and resealed it, put it back on. It's got full oil pressure now, even when you're sitting in traffic and it's 90 degrees and you got the AC going, it's full oil pressure, and she's running nice and cold like she's supposed to. The fans work on and off like they're supposed to. We have and another thing, everything on this car that is serviceable has been serviced. I mean, motor, change the oil, filter, power steering, change the oil and filter, service the transmission. I did, of course, original filters, and I used a synthetic Dextron 3 combined with a couple of bottles of Lucas transmission stuff, the fluid conditioner. Just for safekeeping, that stuff works really well, especially if you got a transmission that's good. If you just want to extend the life of it, it works really well. And that's what I did in this case. There's no slippage or anything going on like that going on. One of the good things that when I got it, the cats were clogged up and the exhaust had a few leaks on it. Even though there's no rust on this car, like literally there's not a spot of rust anywhere, so obviously it's not from up north. But what I did was I ended up just taking my exhaust guy, and he built me a complete front to rear, actually starting right here, just behind the downpipes. We've got 3-inch all the way back to the back. There is a couple mufflers, there's one of them, and that kind of dulls down the sound. He actually added that later because it was a little too loud at first for my taste. I like it to sound good, but I don't like obnoxious. I want it to sound good, but somewhat quiet. And there's the second one. And this muffler here, it's basically just straight through, but it is an insulated muffler, so it kind of dulls down the sound a little bit. But yeah, he done a phenomenal job. All his welds and bends were just perfect. And it's hard to see in this video because it's dark under here too, but excellent job. He even gave plenty of room around all the components to where you can work on it and not have to take anything else off. And if it's too loud for your taste, if you're a grandpa and you don't want nobody to look at you, then it's got plenty of room here that you can add an extra muffler if you want it to be a little more quieter. Plenty of room right here where the factory muffler goes. You just cut out a section of pipe and add it in and put your tip of the tip of your choice. 2 rear tires. They're like brand new. These are Michelin's. And the front ones, they're pretty much ready to be replaced. They're Pirellis. and if I have it more than a few weeks, I'm probably going to go ahead and put a new set of front tires on here. And I'll try to get my money back out of those. We'll see, but it may be I may ask a little bit more money for having the new tires on there, having just spent that on it. I'm already losing money on this car. Honestly, I bought this car and I did not plan to ever sell it. I plan to keep it as a good old backup car that's non-OBD2, that I don't have to deal with emissions, inspection, and just keep it forever. But really, I want a full drive, and I just can't afford multiple vehicles, so she's got to go. But I'll miss it. But anyways, okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else underneath. There probably is other stuff I replaced that I'm forgetting about right now. Go ahead and let it back down. Oh yeah, of course, service the differential and put a new fuel filter in it. And I think all the suspension on the back was good. The brake pads and everything was good. Okay, I'll let it back down. Now for you guys who are possibly looking for a good sleeper car, this is an excellent starting point, because who modifies a Mercedes to go fast? Not very many people. But this car could be built for not very much money at all to be very, very fast. Right now, I'm guessing with the cold air intake and the exhaust on there, it might make 300 horsepower. Like I said, it makes about 275 stock at the tires, what they rate them at. It might make 300 horsepower, but this car, I already spent the money to build the cold air intake, and it has access points for the fuel that you can tap into right here under the hood. You don't have to run all new lines. You can just put some T-taps here, or here even, and you could easily run a nice 100, 125, maybe even 150 shot of nitrous on it. This is an aluminum motor, and everything in it's forged. That's why they're good motors for these kind of things. It's high flow head, and it's dual overhead cam. They'll rev to 6,500 RPMs, no problem. Forged pistons, forged rods, forged crank, everything's top notch. That's why you see these engines with 500,000 miles on them and they're still not using any oil. I mean, they're just built really well. So yeah, if you wanted to have a really sweet sweeper, you could put a nitrous setup on here. I looked into it, and I was actually originally planning to do it, and that was the whole reason I built this intake tube instead of using that John Gotti box that they put on these things from the factory, was because I was going to plumb some nitrous into it. And I bought this guy over here, this dirt bike, and all my money went to that, and my interests are elsewhere right now. But anyway, so could be easily set up for nitrous. They do make drag radials for the stock 15-inch wheel. I actually bought a set and then needed some money and sold them to a buddy of mine that was looking for some. But they make good drag radial. BFG makes a 15-inch drag radial that fits right on that rim. And probably the only thing else you would need to do to make this car downright sketchy is change the gearing. It is geared for gas mileage. It cruises down the road 80 mile an hour at 2,500 RPM, and it's got a 224 rear end, which is absurd. It's like NASCAR tall. There are limited slip differentials available that you can just change the internals out with what's in there now. Pull the ring and pinion and stuff out, change it to I've seen 306s, 307s, even a 327 with limited slip. That'd make this car quite fun. But yeah, that'd be something you could do that nobody'd ever see coming. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll fire it up, and You can hear it. It's going to sound a little different, probably a little louder because it's in the garage, but it's raining outside, so I'm just going to make the best of it. Set this down though. You can take a listen at it. So yeah, she sounds pretty good. Don't be scared, it's not smoke, it's condensation. It's like 40 degrees right now, if not colder, but anyway. As you can see, we got full pressure. She's still cold and ain't warmed up yet. 177,077 miles right now. Will go up. I drive it daily. This is my daily driver. Yeah, everything's nice and quiet. You don't hear the tick 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 like you typically do whenever the oil or tubes go bad and they start losing a little lubrication up in the top end. That's all been taken care of on this engine. Nice and quiet, ready for the long haul. And again, on the exhaust, it's going to be hard to tell in this video because, you know, I mean, who can really judge exhaust well from a video? They never sound the same in person, but it's really not that loud. It actually, when it's sitting there idling, it sounds stock. You can't really tell any difference between this and a stock car. And it doesn't make a whole lot of racket when you drive it either. It does sound pretty daggum good whenever you step on it and just let her go, but it's not obnoxiously loud and could even be made quieter with, you know, probably a cheap muffler and somebody just welded that last section up. But I think I've covered everything everything I can remember right offhand. I'm sure there's probably something else I'm forgetting about, but you know, if you have any other questions, you can just ask me about it and I'll do the best I can to answer them as quickly as I can. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for looking. Okay, so of course I just remembered a couple things that I forgot to mention. She's also had new cap and rotor on both sides. Cap and rotor buttons, which tend to go bad about, I don't know, every 60, 70,000 miles or so. You can usually get that many miles. Well, maybe not that many, but anyways, it's got brand new ones in there, less than I think 6,000 miles on them. Caps rotors. It has a new antenna mast and seal. New seal as well. Pardon all my junk. We got a 10-disc CD changer back here that does work. It's all hooked up. And we got a full-size spare. Again, we got the rebuilt throttle actuator, updated wiring harness. I also moved the air intake temp sensor, which is usually over here, to actually in my intake pipe where it's actually going to be of some use, and rewired it so it's got the proper wiring for it. Oh yeah, this car it's old school. Everything's manual, hardly anything's controlled. Well, not hardly anything, but there's not a whole lot of stuff controlled by a computer, and one of the benefits of this is transmission adjustment. You can adjust the shift points and how hard it shifts on the stock transmission without having to do anything. I adjust it on this one a little bit. It's as simple as adjusting your shift point is as simple as loosening this screw here and sliding this rod out a little bit, and your pressure control cable is attached to this. I adjusted mine a little bit so that when you're in drive and you put it to the floor, she goes all the way to redline. It doesn't go to the stutter box, but it goes all the way to redline before it shifts. When I got it, it would shift like 600 RPM short of redline, and that got on my nerves, so I adjusted on it. Now because of that, it does stay in gear a little bit longer if you're just driving normally. Like if you're just cruising down the road, it acts like it doesn't want to shift, but all you have to do is just barely let off the gas for a split second and it'll shift when you want it. And that's what I do. It also makes it sound really cool. It sounds just like a straight drive when you drive it like that. It's not hurting anything, and again, you can adjust it back if you want. If you want it to shift like a grandma, then just loosen this screw and slide that rod back in just a cock hair, and it'll shift like a grandma car again. And then you can also adjust the firmness of the shift, how hard it shifts into each gear, by adjusting on the modulator, which is on the transmission, but it's as easy as popping off a cap and turning a screw. It's pretty simple. That's one benefit of these cars. Is this is before Mercedes started loading everything down with computers. The electronics are pretty daggum reliable. They really don't have hardly any issues other than throttle actuators, which has already been done on this car. I mean, these are really just good cars. They're, the quality of them is, these were still built to last a lifetime, whereas some of the newer ones are built to last the warranty and be traded in so that it doesn't fall apart. But you didn't hear that from me. But anyways, these are back. This is from back in the day when they still built cars to last a lifetime with maintenance. And so, anyways, you buy this one. It's priced according to mechanical condition. Yes, there are these cars out there for $2,000, but do they already have all this stuff done to them? No, they don't. 99% of the time they don't. And this car is not a show car. If it had already had all this done, these updates done to it, and the paint was flawless, and the interior was flawless, and the body was perfect, it'd be a $10,000 car. But it's priced according to what it's worth. So please don't call me up and ask me $3,000. No, I will not take it. If I can't get what I want, she's going to sit right here and I'm going to keep driving it, plain and simple. I'm already losing some money on it. I'm not going to go bankrupt. I'm not going to go buy crack with this money, so I'm not hurting for it. But anyways, yeah, again, if you just have any other questions, just feel free to message me and I'll answer them best I can. Thank you.